Hello and welcome. Today I'm honored to be joined by a friend, a colleague, and my personal mindset coach, Wayne Donnelly. Wayne, welcome. How are you?
Pretty good, thank you, Paul. Great mindset, great day.
Fantastic, my friend. And for those who don't know, Wayne, he uses the power of the unconscious mind to help people to rewire, sometimes reboot, um, and restructure their belief system so that they can go out and achieve whatever it is they want to achieve. Before we get into it, give us a brief snapshot of your journey and your philosophy around mindset and what people can actually achieve by having the right mindset, maybe even what they do to sabotage themselves by having a mindset that doesn't serve them.
Wow, that's a big one because it can go so far. But let me keep it simple. That the programs we have in our mind that were established right through from our little life till today are creating the world that we are experiencing. And we all have the same physiology, basically, like men and women, but it's how we arrange our mind that makes the difference. So if you think of some of the richest people in the world, if you measure success that way, so you think, well, how did they get so rich? I mean, they had a certain mindset that created that, and for people who haven't achieved that or who don't want to achieve it, it comes back to the mindset and what we're believing. And I've experienced the power of the mind myself, and that's what got me here today and what I've been doing for the last 15 years. Back in 2005, I suffered a major spinal injury through my surfboat rowing and ended up in hospital, lost the feeling in my legs the night before an operation, which saved my ability to walk. Subsequent to that, I suffered depression, had a lot of, took too many painkillers and alcohol, too much alcohol, and several months later went to jump off a cliff, not wanting to be here. My best friend rang me and I ended up getting referred to a mentor, someone who became my mentor, who turned my life around from wanting to end it to embracing life. And then a few years later, when the GFC came, I was working in financial services. My future was freed up for new opportunities, which is a major reframe for anyone who's been made redundant. And so I then studied clinical hypnotherapy, neuro-linguistic programming, and many other things, and started working in this area of behavioural change, Paul.
Let's take a look at some of the things you've done. So, just in terms of outcomes that people actually achieve, can you, without mentioning names, obviously, right? Or anything identifiable, but can you give us relate, the story of a client you've worked with, just briefly the challenges they had, what you did with them, and the outcomes they achieved?
Okay, there's been so many over this last 15 years. A couple that jumped to mind is a man who came to me at age 64 with an alcohol problem. And he started drinking when he was 7. His grandparents or uncles and aunts started to give him port and lemonade. Well, when he came to me, he was drinking 2 bottles of red and a bottle of scotch every night. So he wanted to change that. And one of the triggers was that his dog stopped speaking to him. So he'd pass out every night and come to every morning. And it got to a point where his wife told him, look, the dog stood over you and cried after you'd passed out, and then it didn't want to have anything to do with him. So he came to me ready to change, and that's a key thing, having the awareness and being ready to commit to changing. And we went through some work using hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, and it was fascinating as we went through the process. He came to a point where we were doing a very kinesthetic exercise, and he froze. And when you were looking at him, it looked like he was being reset. You know, when you reboot your computer and wait for it to start again. It's just what it looked like. And that was in October 2014, and he hasn't had a drink since. Now, not every story is like that. I've dealt with a lot of people with alcohol issues. I think there may be two that I'm still working with and still communicating with to finish the change. And my philosophy is I do not like unfinished business. I want to go to completion and make sure my clients succeed in achieving their outcome. And I don't let them go. I keep talking with them and communicating. And in this case, this gentleman still rings me up every month or two, 10 years later, almost 10 years later, thanking me for getting him across to the other side. And it was wrecking his marriage, his business, and now he survived a quadruple bypass operation a couple of years after that, only because he stopped drinking alcohol. It's one story. Another is where a former police officer who reached a high rank was pensioned off for suffering PTSD because of what he'd seen in his career from the time when he was a new officer on the force many, many years ago. And this is going back a long way, where he'd gone to a car crash, and when the body got to the coroner's office, the coroner actually handed over organs to him to hold in his bare hands and weigh them. And so he was quite scarred from not only seeing the accident, but having that subsequent experience, and then going to the home of the parents only to see that in the driveway was the car they'd bought for their child, which was his old car. And he didn't know that they'd become the new owners. And that was the start of his career and the start of, people on the front line in emergency services see a lot, experience a lot, and it can build up. And this is something common for many people in the O area. So this particular guy had PTSD, was having trouble functioning what we would say normally to protect himself from these memories and flashbacks and all that sort of thing. So we had to scrub the memories, reduce the power that they had over him so that he could be free to enjoy life more. Very, very powerful experience.
They're two incredible stories. I can fully relate to the first, and I can't relate to obviously the second, but that's seriously impactful, mate. Let me ask you this then. Mindset coaching often involves overcoming barriers and resistance. I mean, otherwise, why do people reach out to have a mindset coach? Can you maybe discuss some of the common challenges that your clients face and what you do to guide them through the challenges they have?
Okay, we have a whole process here, Paul. When people approach me with a problem, and it's the old quote, the problem isn't a problem, the problem is a symptom of the problem. So if indeed someone does have a drug or alcohol problem or a performance problem, and I'm thinking of career there, not other areas, but other areas where there's performance problems, that problem is symptomatic of something in their programming, something in their belief system, which is holding them back. So it could be a trauma, it could be something. Usually I end up somewhere in the first 7 years of life, but there could also be traumatic experiences, such as I outlined a minute ago with emergency services. And it's the awareness of that happening and what the impact is. And they come to me and we do a preview or scope out what it is they want to achieve as an outcome. And sometimes that just goes into some therapy sessions, or it could go into the longer mindset coaching, where we want to break apart the patterns of their neurology and their belief systems and take them to a place where the trauma is released or resolved so that they can then begin to work on creating the ideal version of themselves. And rather than just get rid of that problem and we still leave a hole, we want to go from where that's impacting their life, working on changing their belief systems, not just to get them to neutral. We want to keep going further so we can create this ideal life that they can really enjoy, the gift of life that they've been given.
Mate, for sharing that. So just as a final question, in the personal development field, there's a lot of stuff out there. And I think that's probably because as human beings, we're always going to have things we need to work through as part of the journey of life. And I believe that mindset coaching is going to be something which is a cornerstone of the personal development industry, whichever way you slice and dice it. Given what you've been through, where you're at now, the things that you're doing now with clients, where do you see mindset coaching going, if anywhere? Is there a version 4.0 or something that you can imagine? Or is it just, where do you see people going with mindset coaching? Do you see more people, coming on, taking it on? Is there, once they've been through it, is there a new level they can go to?
There's always more levels, Paul. The old saying about the onion, it's just another layer, and we're breaking through. And I would say there is no end to the journey that you can travel in life. So many people, you've probably seen this diagram before about growth, and usually it relates to business growth, where it goes up, it hits a little plateau, bounces down, goes back up again to hit the next plateau. Our life journey is very similar. We come across challenges, which are learning experiences, and once we overcome them and we have that going through that phase of changing our beliefs and our values and our internal programs, and then we go to the next level and the next level, and wherever it goes. As far as the mindset coaching, I believe it's the basis for everything, because your life, your career, your business is all a reflection of you. And that is very powerful. When you look in the mirror, or you take a client to look in the mirror and say, well, who started this business? Who employed those employees that aren't doing what you want them to do? The answer's in the mirror. Well, why don't you have the health, the wealth, the success that you want, the relationship that you want? Well, go and look in the mirror, because there's the answer staring straight back at you. So when we can change what you see, then what you will see changes, according to Dr. Wayne Dyer. So, and it's true. It does change. Once we can change what's happening in this 6 inches, and they say you're only 6 inches away from having everything you want: health, wealth, relationship, and so on. This 6 inches.
And so actually you mentioned something there with regard to companies and their employees. So what you do is one-on-one, and you can also work with companies who have small, large, excessively large employee bases.
Yes, it can be one-on-one, or it can be in a group, because you can do this. I mean, group reprogramming goes back to the time of Freud's nephew, when he created propaganda, or made it a science that could be used, and then later on it was changed to public relations. Sounds better. And you can use the tools of effective and powerful persuasion to create change in groups of people. I mean, it's been done right through history. And communication can be crafted in such a way that you can create that change. We don't always want to use fear. So to create that change in people, we want to empower people and get them to tap into their inner resources so that they can feel empowered, enriched, and improved to make a bigger difference in their lives, their health, wealth, relationship, career, and so on.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much, mate. Much appreciated. So, grateful you came on. Grateful you for all your insight and everything you've been able to share today. If you're watching this and you'd like to find out more about what Wayne does, more importantly, what he could do for you and or your employees, and help you to achieve the changes, and I'm speaking from personal experience here, I suggest you reach out, have a convo with him now. You can find Wayne by Googling Wayne Donnelly mindset coach, and you'll come up with pages and pages and pages of his links. Or you can go to waynedonnelly.com or find him on LinkedIn. I'd say they're probably the two best places to get in touch with you.
Yeah, that's right, Paul. And what I like to do, I know for me, I like to try before I buy. I think most of us do that when we go and try out a car or a suit or whatever it is. So I'd like to invite people, if they're really serious about creating a change and they want to have an experience of what that is like, then just get in contact, reach out to me in those areas where Paul said, either on LinkedIn, Wayne Donnelly, or Facebook, Wayne Donnelly Mindset Coach. And we can tee up a 30 to 40-minute session where you can feel the experience of getting in touch with your unconscious mind to create change.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, mate. Now, I'll also put links to Wayne's LinkedIn and website wherever you're watching this, and on LinkedIn I'll tag him so you can quickly click through to that and find him that way as well.
Fantastic.
Again, Wayne, thanks very much for being here. Appreciate you, and look forward to maybe having you back again some other time.
Thanks very much, Paul.
And please, if you enjoyed this episode, then stay tuned. There'll be more episodes coming with equally high quality people who have exceptional information and experience to share. So wherever you're watching this, keep an eye out. The next episode will be there soon.